Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul is in the middle of his third bid for the presidency, and despite being down in the polls and the delegate count, he has no plans to throw in the towel. Earlier today, I sat down with the Texas congressman and found myself a little surprised. Coming to San Francisco for a Republican has some challenges, and coming to the Bay Area has some challenges. Tell me why you were here and tell me about some of those challenges.
Well, we've been making the rounds. We've been in California. This is the third day. We were in Chico and then in UCLA yesterday, and we'll be over at Berkeley tonight. And we're getting very nice crowds out from the young people. And they're still a little independent-minded. They're not locked into what Republicans generally stand for.
Now, you, like the president, you do have a lot of appeal with young voters. Can you tell me what it is that you think that you connect to them in what area?
I'm not positive. Everybody asks the question, and a lot of we ask the young people. I talk to them a lot too, and a lot of times it's pretty simple. Like, you actually believe in the Constitution, or you tell us the truth. Mm-hmm. You don't like the war. And you like this whole concept of personal liberty, stay out of my life, government not meddling, and letting people make their own decisions, both in a social way as well as an economic way. And they see this as a whole philosophy. It's very attractive to them. But each one gives a slightly different answer to the question, but it's obviously there. I mean, the crowds, if anything, are getting bigger. So,
well, this has been a bruising GOP primary, and according to our count, you have 52 delegates. Mitt Romney, the front runner, has got 658 delegates. What is your purpose in staying in the race at this point?
Well, to count all the delegates. There's a lot of delegates being counted now, in the primary races where they've had these straw votes. The straw votes didn't pick the delegates. So there's quite a few states that are still working that through. So we're going to get a lot more delegates, but obviously it's going to be a real challenge, to overtake Governor Romney. But still, the point is to run a race and do a good job, and to do a good job for your supporters who ask, for a good race and to present a cause and try to change not only the Republican Party, but to change the country and call attention to some of the things that nobody else will talk about. I mean, Republicans and Democrats support the wars. Republicans and Democrats both support the Federal Reserve System just printing money when they need money, and that's led to a lot of trouble.
Well, let's stop for a second and go back to what you said about Republicans and Democrats supporting wars. When it comes to the issue of Iran, a lot of Democrats, a lot of Republicans favor force, using the use of force if Iran does get nuclear weapons capability. You, among the GOP presidential candidates, are an island. You are opposed to it, and it has hurt you with conservatives, and it has hurt you with Jewish people. So that being the case, you want to explain what your philosophy is and why you're opposed to force.
My philosophy is national defense and the Constitution, and follow the rules. And if you use force, if you use that word casually, and as our presidents do and our government does, that means you use aggression. That means you start the wars like we did in Iraq. Iraq wasn't a threat to us. They didn't have weapons of mass destruction. There was no Al-Qaeda there yet. How many Americans died? How many billions of dollars were spent? How many people have injured? And if indeed we needed to go, it should be done in a proper manner. We should go by declaring a war, which I was insisting on at the time when I was opposing that particular war. So Iran is the same thing. Even Israel, there's a much healthier discussion of this issue in Israel than there is here. It's sort of closed-minded that you have to be for using force, even if they don't have a weapon. We have to stop them from getting a weapon. But I don't like the weapons. I'd like everybody to give up their nuclear weapons. But the whole thing is I was in the service during the 60s, and the Soviets had 30,000. They were a pretty ruthless bunch of thugs running that country. But we didn't feel compelled that we had to bomb them and destroy their weapons. That would have made problems worse. And that's what happens now. We're in these wars now, and it's making not only the international situation worse, it's causing a calamity calamity with our financial system, because we've added $4 trillion worth of debt due to our military expenditures these last 10 years, and I think the Middle East is more chaotic now than ever. So I see no benefit whatsoever to endorse the principle of preemptive war, and that's what the American people have subtly accepted. But I don't think the young people. This is the issue that gets the loudest applause on college campuses. Too many wars, too much occupation we're in, and it's bankrupting our country.
All right, before we run out of time, just two more quick questions for you. First is, would you or will you support a Romney candidacy if he's calling himself or believes himself to be the inevitable nominee at this point? Will you support him?
Well, I haven't given a firm answer on that, either a no or a yes. I'm going to wait and see what happens in the race and see what happens, how many delegates I get and what pans out. But quite frankly, the other delegates, the other candidates all support positions that I disagree with, whether it's the war issue, whether it's on civil liberties, and privacy and the Patriot Act and assassinations and arrests by...
Will that be the case since you don't agree with the other candidates? So there's been some speculation that you may go off on your own and run as an independent.
I don't have any plans to do that. No, I'm going to keep plugging away and see how many delegates we get here.
All right. And last question, just a fun one. There was a poll that came out yesterday, recent study that said that Republicans own much cooler cars than Democrats do. What do you drive?
I drive a Buick. It's a 1997 Buick. But I wouldn't buy a Buick today because I'd have to buy it from the government, and I don't buy stuff from the government. Government Motors makes it now.
Ron Paul, thanks very much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
97 Buick, that's a cool car. What are you guys laughing about? Ron Paul.